don't plan your career, plan a life and see if your career fits into that. Then you choose a career accordingly.
Correct. So we are already connected with more than 1,000 plus architects.
Yes.
In our 5 years journey.
In our community.
Yeah.
Right. Listen more podcasts, watch more videos, and just not actively listen to those things. Because that's how I think I have improved, and just have a normal day-to-day conversation. Try to have a normal day-to-day conversation with someone about some intellectual conversation, which like this, for a longer period. That gives you a lot of vocabulary.
Right. Because so many people talk about architecture, they don't teach this, they don't teach money, they don't teach business.
That particular theory, right, that people need to decide the career very early, that's bullshit, I think. Like, you can't. You don't have enough experience, you don't have enough exploration. You don't know a lot of things in this world, how it works. How can you decide a career with that moment? So try exploring that. That would be my suggestion. Do everything in the college.
Hello everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of BitTalk. Today we are having a conversation with Abhijeet Madeshiya, who is building a freelance marketplace for architects. So let's get right into this conversation and know his journey. Hi Abhijeet.
Hi Shivanka, how are you?
I'm fine. It's a pleasure to have you on this show.
Thanks man, pleasure is all mine.
Yeah.
So
what's up with life now? What are you doing now?
So, we are building BitTalk, which is basically a freelance marketplace for architecture, design and services. The idea is that architects needs to have a platform where they can find clients and work and earn money and credibility basically, So, and even the clients struggle a lot to find the architects. So, we are trying to bridge the gap between architects and consumers. So that everyone gets the proper service and architects don't have to struggle for work and for credibility in this particular industry.
Correct.
So that's what we are building, and currently we'll be launching a beta version of that in this month.
Interesting.
So the whole beta product is going to launch, and so the work is going on. The whole team is busy with that product launch.
So we'll talk on build design in further in our coming conversation.
Yes.
We'll come to your journey into architecture first.
Okay.
As every architecture enthusiast starts their architecture journey in the college itself, they don't know about architecture before coming to architecture.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So was it same about you?
Yeah, it was quite similar, because so see, I never intended to become an architect, so from this school period of mine, like from 8, 9, 10 standard, I was already good at maths and science. So at that time everyone used to think engineer or doctor.
Correct.
So I chose for the engineering field, and for 2 years I just prepared for IIT JEE and all those exams. And the moment I went for exam, I realized that I actually don't want to become an engineer, because the thing was that I have already did small businesses in in the past, in the school times. Like my first business was in 6th standard. So at that time I did the first business, and I realized this is something which I like. And being from a family where all the people around me were doing some self-employed business kind of thing. So I just thought in the exam center that when I become an engineer, I would not have a business direction, I won't directly get into the business. I might need to do a job first, then get into the business, and I really wanted to start the business. So I just, on one dinner table conversation, I told my father that after 2 years of coaching, I told my father that I don't want to become an engineer because I want to get into the business. So my actually architectural journey started because my father said that architects is a profession where you need to set up your own firm to excel in the field. Right. So that's where you need to set up your own business from the starting period. And that's why I got into architecture. So by the time I wanted to get into architecture, the NATA exam was just 3 days. Like the last NATA exam was scheduled out of 3-4 days from the decision time to the exam time. And that's where it changed, I thought, it's going to be hard exam and all, but aptitude, it's like basic aptitude. You need to have aptitude, and learning from preparing from entrance exams for JEE and all that just gives you that. And there was the drawing segment, which was not quite good for me. Actually, I'm not a good sketch, artist kind of a person. But it was not that hard as well. It was about the perspective, from which angle you're looking at different things, right? So that is good. I'm sure you have also prepared for the NATA exam, and it's like that. So it's not that hard as much as we think. And that's how I got into architecture. But when this is how I entered into architecture field.
So as everyone do, you also studied for IIT and landed up into the architecture.
Yeah.
My second question would be, how did you look at the architecture profession back then, and how do you look at the architecture profession currently in business perspective, in profession perspective, and in personal passionate perspective?
Yeah, so see, architecture as a profession is quite good, so I wanted to say this about the education part. When you're an architecture student, basically what happens that there are so many skills you have to develop, especially the design thinking part, like you're solving a problem, those kind of thinking and mindset comes into you automatically. So as a professional, those skills helps you a lot, because everything in life is a problem statement. You need to find a solution, and you need to have those connecting the dots and bridging that how this solution might work for this particular problem. So architecture education teaches you that. So as a profession, when you come into this field, things are quite different. If you want to choose the design practice, the architectural design practice, the firm, you want to set up your own firm, things are very different for you, because up till now there was only traditional method. Hopefully we are bringing the modern method with our startup, but up till now there was a traditional method which you have to accept and follow that route. But then I have also realized, as a professional, you can do multiple things nowadays in the market with architecture skills. So that is one thing. And personally, I feel, because of all these things, I always wanted to do business. So this, instead of doing an MBA, I think architecture helps you in becoming an entrepreneur. When you're like joining a business, see, most MBAs basically do a job for some businesses, right? They don't actually start their own business, or maybe I'm wrong, but what I have seen around me is most MBAs just join another job. So a good MBA would be who might just join a family business, or starts his own business. So I think architecture teaches you to start your own business properly, because you have the skills of design, you have the skills, you can understand graphics and all those things. You give a lot of juries, so basically there's sales skills somewhere in that middle. So you have to basically explore your skills and channelize that into something where you are making value of it. So as a professional, I love architecture as a field.
Yeah, means architecture prepares you for everything, but indirectly.
Yeah, indirectly. You need to like tap into that.
Because so many people talk about architecture, they don't teach this, they don't teach money, they don't teach business.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct. But see, now those skills are the skills which are available on YouTube as well, right? Like these are general skills, sales, marketing, business. So you get a lot of content nowadays, and we are living in the internet age. Finding the content is not difficult. So I think the other set of skills you obviously need to develop, but there's content out there. But architecture as a skill needs a lot of practicing work. Like I know how many sheets and sleepless nights you might have.
Right.
So it's the same for everyone. Every architecture student has the same life. So that is something which I'm saying. And even the culture wise is different.
Most important thing architecture teaches is the consistency.
Yeah.
We do so many submissions, sleepless nights, and that exact thing is required in entrepreneurship and your startup thing.
Yeah, you also know better. Like every time you're setting up a workshop or this podcast shoot, you have to plan everything so that the resource planning is there when exact moment is needed.
Correct.
So architecture teaches you that. Multiple sleepless nights gives you that opinion to have it.
So what do you think, how someone can look for the opportunities? Because we people are having very unidirectional approach in architecture.
Yes.
It's about profession and taking money. So
correct.
What do you think, how someone can look for the opportunities in architecture field?
See, architecture design service market is a huge market. Like if you read the markets, construction industry in itself is going to be $1 trillion industry in India itself. Now consider 10% of the total market for the service business, like AEC service. So at least 5% we have, that's still more than 50 billion. So that's a huge market. Now if you read the stats, 90% of the market is fragmented. Only 10% is organized, and which is like the topmost firms, Hafiz Contracted, all these corporate firms, they have the biggest number of projects. So my question to you is, in terms of finding the opportunity, if there's such a huge market, 90% of the market is fragmented.
Correct.
So there's some fragment available for everyone. It's just how to tap into it. So now, for example, now you have explored something very different with your architecture skills. You told me that you're also doing design practice on the side, and you're also making this 361 bit as a startup. trying to bridge the community between students and professionals.
right,
So how did you arrive to this particular thing? This is an opportunity for you, right?
Definitely.
Because everywhere there's a problem, and when you're solving a problem, you're making a money. So there's a very good line which I heard from Kunal Shah. So it's like it applies on the civilization part. The bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the pot of gold you unlock.
Correct.
So you choose problem. There are n number of everyone rants about architecture as an industry has so many problems.
Right.
So there's always gonna be a solution, and that's why you make money out of it.
Correct.
So that's what I think as an opportunity. How to find an opportunity?
Definitely.
Find a problem, add a value to it, get money.
There are a million opportunities available in the market. I think for us, one major thing about finding the opportunity was communication.
Yeah.
So we were communicating to our juniors, to our seniors, to our super seniors and professors all the time.
Correct.
About every aspect of architecture. And from that communications, we got to see those gaps.
Yeah.
What exactly is happening and what exactly we can do to tap these things together.
So basically, how to get into the communication part of things, right? Yes, man. There's a lot of things you have to communicate basically if you are starting something.
Right.
You basically need to tell your customers if there's your employees, you need to teach everything to them. It's not about teaching per se, it's about communicating what you have in your mind. So I think, but that's the thing, as I said earlier, when you're an architecture student and you basically give a lot of number of juries,
right?
Okay. So that is where you tap into that, right? To improve your communication. Right. Because any day you're making a sale, you're selling your own design to some juror. So try to channelize those particular set of skills into selling, into communication.
Right.
And in terms of vocabulary, I think, vocabulary is a bit of an issue which you see around, like when I talk to a lot of number of people, I think people need to read more books, listen more podcasts, watch more videos, and just not actively listen to those things, because that's how I think I have improved. And just have a normal day-to-day conversation, try to have a normal day-to-day conversation with someone about some intellectual conversation which like this, for a longer period. That gives you a lot of vocabulary.
Right.
So you learn from people, books, videos and audios, basically all around the world you can learn the vocabulary.
Definitely.
So that's where you improve communication. And of course, there's this philosopher Jordan Peterson, he's a clinical psychologist. So his philosophy is this, that there's a book, 12 Rules of Life. Jordan Peterson I'm talking about, okay? Dr. Jordan Peterson. So he says that if you have the vision and if you can express it, there's nothing gonna stop you to be successful.
Correct.
Because you can basically express what you have in your mind. And that's one of the high skill which is gonna make you or break you. So that's what I think about communication.
Definitely. And communication के साथ I feel collaboration. To collaborate with people, to be with people, and to have a team is also a very crucial part in this vast world today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you also did some projects. You also been in the practice of architecture. So how was your experience about architectural practice?
So see, architectural practice was we are creating this startup which is freelance marketplace for architecture design services. So I went into practicing because I wanted to learn. That's the reason I wanted to do the job as well, basically, to learn all of this thing, how I can, the details of the market and how it's done. So when I was doing that, the things were different when I was working under someone. But when I started my own practice, that's the sole purpose was so that I can support the startup growth.
Yeah.
Right. So I have this very good experience that if you're an architect and if you're running a startup, you always have your architectural practice on the side. So you can never go out of the job. Basically, even if your startup goes away, you still have your practice. So those are two different things you can work on. Like you are doing the same thing, right? You're running your practice and you're running this as well. So it's simultaneously things can work. So that is a very good thing about architecture as a profession, as a field, But coming to your question, basically you wanted to understand how
was your experience of starting the architecture practice, because everyone struggles to get that client and talk to client, collaborate with client and make them understand the design, everything.
Yeah, so that is and everyone struggles, I agree with that. So basically you are entering something into very new dimension which you haven't seen, and basically your education doesn't teach you all of these things. So And I've also noticed one more thing, like sometimes you go to architects and they try to hide the administrative part of the business. Because basically they understand that you're going to be the next competitor in the same geography.
Right.
So that's there. But exactly you have to crack something to get a client. And most architects have, like, when you ask this advice, how would you get your first client? So the answer would be friends, relatives.
Correct.
And what if you don't come from that background? Like, just giving an example, suppose you're an orphan and you are now an architect. So basically, what's the network now?
Correct.
So with that logic, only limited number of successful architects are going to be there, which is happening, right? Because of that particular logic that we need to have friends and relatives. What if the person does not have it? And I see a lot of good designers, okay? They have amazing design theories and everything. They have very proper knowledge, but they don't have the network to actually tap into and get to their first projects or, that breakthrough which they talk about. So I think that's not the approach anyone in the younger times, and especially in our time. So we can't, like, our network is based on social media now.
Right.
So that's also one more good thing. You can increase that social media thing. So that's one way to get the clients to create a network of your own. That's what you guys are also doing technically, right? Definitely. You're creating a community. Why you're creating a community? Because your customers are in that community. So that's what you do.
Correct.
You try to create that community on social media. First is that, and a lot of interior designers and architects do that nowadays. So it's the new form of getting clients. Right. Second way to get clients, I think you should approach a lot of B2B segment, like builders and developers, and ask them to do a sample flat, or just do sample small work, ancillary architectural services, which I call, like 3D and all those things which you have the skills for, and just try to give them discount in the start, but not do it for free. Like, most people get into the idea of giving it for free. So you have to understand. So this is what I learned in one of the internship in Mumbai. I have to talk about this. So this architect, the principal architect in my internship, Painse Patare Associates. So he told me this, that the clients, when coming to the architect, should be treated equally. Because see, you go to a doctor, you require a service basically. It's just not it's not a transactional thing. It's a service thing, right? So you need to treat the client equally. And what in the starting period I got to understand this, because in the internship I know this. So this is one thing which everyone should do, that treat your client equally. I'm not saying don't call them sir and all that, but treat them equally, not like set boundaries as a normal you will do normally with an equal. So people answer call at 10:30, 11:30, and they like do anything for the clients. Just stop doing that. Have some pride that you are an architect. You have those skills. Someone requires those skills. Someone is ready to pay you money for the skills you have. So try to focus on that aspect and look the clients in that way. So what will happen, that you won't be desperate to get clients. You will only choose the clients which fits your practice, which might be anything. Right? So try doing that. So that's one advice which I will be giving to the people who are starting out now.
Definitely. And you talked about one word, network. We used to discuss about this lot. In our 5 years journey, we interact with 4 batches our seniors and 4 batches juniors. So overall those are 9 batches.
Correct.
So we are already connected with more than 1,000 plus architects in our 5 years journey.
In our community.
And that's where our network starts. So we can start our networking actively during our college time only.
So see, in college time, the networking which you're going to create is with the architects, and no architect is going to share you the consumer, because how he's going to, right? Like, you're directly going to compete in the market. So having that architect network will give you SOPs, management, and tools to make this practice happen. But having a different network, which I think for the first 5 years, like in your architecture student life, you should only focus on creating that architecture network, because you learn from each other, right? I learn from you, you are learning from me, and there might be other people, but we learn from each other. Every time someone's doing a great design, we get inspired from that as well. So that's where you learn a lot of theories from other, like most of the things, like the art about architecture was something which I did not understand in the first, second year, but because of my seniors in PRs, I understood what's the art in architecture. Coming from more technical background, I did not understand it, But that's what it is. Like that network taught me a lot of things. Like I was never into that much philosophy, but because of few of the seniors, I got into philosophy and all, right?
Correct.
So that's what I'm saying. That's the network effect where you can grow your skills as an architect, but not get customers. So business network should be separate, and having that network is separate.
Yeah.
So that's where the network effect would work, I guess.
Certainly. So doing your architectural practice. So when did you start building the build design?
And that's a
how
good
was
one.
that journey?
Yeah. So building build design, actually, when I graduated, so I already knew how the industry works and how much you get paid as a salary as an architect. And I basically was not ready to struggle for 5-7 years and then get a practice and then get decent size project to make decent size money. So I wanted to. So I had this philosophy which I said earlier. The bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the pot of gold you unlock. So I saw this problem. Basically, I realized that this is what I am facing. This is what everyone as an architect is facing. So that's a good problem. So that's where I fell in love with the problem. So I decided to solve it. And so what happened, like when in the start you try to search where to get the projects and all. So I just searched for freelance portal for architects, and there was none. And that's why it hit me. There's no freelance portal for architects as such. So whenever you do a Google search for freelance portal for architects, you used to get system architects, solution architects, all those tech architects. But that's not the job you can do as an architect, like proper architect. So that's why I thought, we should create a freelance portal which is specifically catering to the architect's needs. And so that was the basic idea, but we did not have the complete solution behind it. So we did with the design build competition kind of thing. So we did like competitions which were design build, which can you get multiple design proposals from multiple architects. So in that, what we thought, see now what architects have to face the problem, I'll tell more about it, right? So even if you start your practice in Nagpur, for example, so you are limited to this local geography. So that's again very small market, because if there are, especially in tier 1, tier 2 cities, a lot of architects are there only. So how the market is gonna grow? Because limited geography. Then even the consumer, they don't have any way to get architects. The best way a consumer can find an architect is to ask his friend, "Bhai, tera ghar kisne banaya?" Okay? So that's how they find the architects. Or they'll just Google and just dial. And most of the people cannot afford a good architect's fees. Who's gonna be there on the top architects list. So that was a huge problem. And even so, when the consumer is also searching for an architect, an architect is also looking for a project, how come they are not able to connect? So that's where we found a solution, that we should start with design build service. So actually remote collaboration could happen. And see, now we are a generation who is facing tech revolution every 5 years, 10 years, right? Every 5 years there's new technology coming into which is transforming the whole thing. How come since 1972 we have never worked on the distribution for architecture design services? So that's where that thought come, that we should be solving this, where architects don't have to worry as soon as they graduate from the college. They don't have to worry, what am I going to do next? Where am I going to find work? How much I am going to earn? Am I going to earn around 15 to 25,000 till 5-6 years? So what's the life? Because now 15-25,000 doesn't work for our class of social class. So that's what I'm saying. So we wanted to solve that problem, and that's where freelance marketplace was an idea as a problem. Because all these problems I knew, because I was experiencing all those things. And then I also saw one thing. So the problem with the market is that it's just not projects. So when most people you talk to, normal non-architecture people, when you tell them architect, they only think building design karta hai, ghar banata hai. That's the limit. So they are not aware at all. They are not aware what is, everyone faces this, ki architect ko architecture bula rahe hai, architect ko engineer bula rahe hai, and architect has been confused with a contractor as well. I have faced that a lot. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. This is very less awareness, and our community is so intact that we think of a noble profession and we are inside that community and we are talking to each other only. What about consumer awareness? If there's no consumer awareness, you're obviously going to struggle for the business. So that's where the thought came into picture, more private, you're also doing your bit. So that's what I'm saying, that there needs to be more startups coming into the picture who aware people about what is architecture. And we wanted to become that, we wanted to bring that thing into life. That's where build design was formed. And then there's a different journey of a startup which took, multiple feedbacks, multiple validation feedback, and the whole idea got transformed.
Correct.
So now it is completely a freelance marketplace where you get projects, where you also get ancillary architectural services, one-on-one projects,
Right.
where there are like invite-only competition where 5 architects are working for one design proposal and all 5 are getting paid. So something like that we are trying to develop, and the beta version of that product is going to be launched in this month. So the journey is finally, towards the next final product. We did actually launch the MVP. We did some projects. Now all the feedback we incorporated into the final product.
Correct.
And now we are launching the beta product. So that's where we are at, and that's how it started. This all happened since 2018 though. So in 2018 I had the idea, just because you asked that question. In 2018 I had the idea in like around October, and I graduated around May, June, at that time thesis khatam hone ke baad. So October I had the idea, but I did not have, what is architecture design services as a market, how practice. So I did 1.5 years, 2 years as a job, and as soon as my product got completed by 17th March 2020, 20th March 2020, everyone announced lockdown. So, that was, then it took a plunge that I cannot work on the architecture design services platform right now because there's no service to offer. So yeah, it actually got launched in January 2021. And since then we have been building it up till now, and now finally a product launch is happening.
Very interesting. Yeah, and you are focusing on very crucial gap in the market.
Yes.
I have 1 or 2 questions about build design.
Yeah.
So, are you deciding the fees of the architect, those who are coming to your platform, or there is a system?
Yeah, so we are working on that. We are working on gradation system, reputation model.
Okay.
According to your experience, skills, and what things you have done in the past. We are also working on the bidding system, where each architect gets to bid, but there needs to be a minimum and maximum. So that's why the beta version, right? That's not the final product.
Right.
Because we still are trying to figure out the price scheming of the whole nation is different. Bangalore pricing is different, Nagpur pricing is different, Mumbai pricings are different.
Correct, definitely.
So we are trying to find that gap. So, but that's why we have like, so if any architect wants to join the beta community, it's free to register. Everything is free for the architects on the platform. They just need to find the work and get the work done, and they get the money. So we are trying to separate few architects and have a regular feedback loop, how this things, because it should be a community decision, right? It can't be my decision or the sole company's decision that how the pricing should be set. So that's why the beta community will be involved in that discussion. So yeah, I think everyone should join that. Like, who cares about this problem?
Taking care of this very crucial problem, you must need a team.
Yeah.
And I want to ask, how did you find your teammates? And
so see, I have 2 co-founders.
Yeah.
I'm the third. So both of them are tech expertise. So I'll tell you, I actually did one small startup with a friend in 3rd year. So I was working with him. That took a plunge on my architecture attendance, but that's a different story. But yeah, I was working in a startup in 3rd year. And so this person was from Ramdev Baba. So my friend is also from Ramdev Baba. So that's how I got introduced to Hitesh.
Okay.
Hitesh is one of my, he's the chief product officer who, who handles the product discovery and how the product needs to be made, and he designs the whole product. And he knew Abhijeet Sonaje. So apparently there are 2 Abhijeets in our whole core team. So he knew Abhijeet Sonaje, and he was, Abhijeet Sonaje was a good friend of Hitesh Goyal. They both were working in the tech field. And Abhijeet Sonaje can produce the whole thing, like, he can create the tech. So I told them an idea, this is what I'm thinking. They were also trying to search which startup they should be working with, because at that time it was like they were used to develop technology for the startups. Like technology, IT services wala jo job rehta hai, waisa wala. So they have that kind of a business. And I just introduced them to this particular thing. And I said, I don't have any money, but you can become the team member. We can do it together, and we can build it like really build it and solve a real problem. Like, it's not going to be another e-commerce store of a clothing brand, right? It's going to be something which can solve a real world problem.
Correct.
So they resonated with the idea, and they got into it. And then even the market got evolved in terms of startup. We all 3 started our journey. So we were like, noobs who were trying to just, explore how it works and everything is. We were very rookie about everything, all 3 of us. So we all 3 had our own journey. I went into too much entrepreneurship and CEO role. So whatever role we had, we try to explore that in the market, and that's how the team got built. And then what happens when you're building yourself, you also find other people who are trying to build themselves, and that's how you find people to connect with. So they were then they came employees. Some employees stuck by a long number of time. So that's how you build.
Very interesting. What are the things which are important in a team which is working very efficiently?
Yeah. So see, the core team in a startup up till now, the journey I've had, I think the synergy needs to be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Complementary skills needs to be there. If I don't know this, the other person should know this. So that's how you make a whole. So in startup, I can say that much. And synergy is very important because it is going to take a toll on everything in your life. So you need to have that synergy. But in an architecture firm, I see a lot of partnership firms and all that. So I don't know about actually how that partnership works. But in startup, I can tell you, the core team needs to have that synergy compulsorily and complementary skills. And your philosophy and ideologies of life basically needs to match together so that you can build actually. People needs to believe in the problem they are solving and the solution they are bringing, right? Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's two, three things I have in my core team, I guess.
Interesting. I read somewhere, if you are achieving your dreams daily, your dreams are not big enough. So we should not reach our dreams anywhere in our life. So they should be that much bigger.
Yes.
And a team can set that visions and dreams that big that we always thrive to achieve those dreams.
So like you said, dream should never be achieved. So I think in like goal setting wise,
correct,
right, like dreaming small is a crime. APJ Abdul Kalam. All these things are there already. There is a lot of content and philosophy by very great people already out there who will tell you how to lead your life.
Correct.
Like even Swami Vivekananda's philosophy was like the satisfied man is a dead man. Right? So you should never get satisfied. So there's this, like, I follow Shah Rukh Khan a lot, like wisdom wise, not acting wise and that wise, but wisdom wise I'm saying. So he said that somewhere that you should set a bigger goal every time you achieve a goal. It was very simple, but you should also believe that you're going to achieve that goal.
Correct.
Not just set a goal. So there's also this one very good book I read, and it was basically whenever you ask someone what do you want to do, they want to I want to find financial stability, I want to find like I want to have good amount of money, I want to travel, all those things. So this writer basically says that you cannot actually become successful like that, because the definition of success, this is not me, this is the book, the definition of success is that you need to achieve your goal. So you need to set a goal. So financial stability is not a goal. Correct. Right? It's the outcome of some goal. So basically the metaphor he gives is that if suppose you're on an ocean sailing a ship and you don't have a harbor to reach, you're just sailing around. So that's what it is. So most idea is to set a goal. Correct. That I want to become this. Like even if it's just a draftsman. So I want to become a draftsman. That's first goal. So you achieve that, then you set a next goal. So that's one thing which has been helping up till now, because you need to set, like even you guys must be setting goals for every quarter, or mid-year mein hum log ye karne wale hain, this is what is happening. So you basically set goals in your business. You you start setting goals for your life as well. So that's it.
I read in your vision statement, you are filling the gap between architects and consumers.
Yes.
Can you explain about that gap? What exactly is the gap? And one more question to that. Can you explain the AEC industry? What exactly is the AEC industry and how exactly our Indian AEC industry works?
Right. So that's a huge question. So AEC industry full form is architecture, engineering, construction, right? So that covers from your plot pay, anything you want to construct, anything related to construction is basically AEC industry, part of AEC industry. So that's very basic definition. I'm sure if your viewers know what is AEC industry. But the thing about how AEC industry works, so there are brackets of types of projects. Luxury project goes through some limited number of architects and engineers, and so it's based on a network-based effect. That is true. That is still stands true. That's how it basically works. So everyone has, like even every architect has a team to execute. Basically, you're getting the quality work. Why would you don't want to give the more work to that particular team? So that is how it works. Network effect and everything.
Correct.
Like Nagpur market, I have Nagpur contractors, Nagpur engineers, and Nagpur architects. People go to hire Mumbai architects and bring them over here. Then the Mumbai teams come over.
Correct.
So that's how it works basically. But there's not like, see, there are a lot of problems in this industry, but the people who are working in this industry, have been working in the industry, have made it. It's not like they have no money, or they are very well established and they have good amount of money. So this industry works. How to get into the industry is a problem.
Correct.
Right, so that is a bigger problem, I think. The industry works nicely, man. There's gonna be new, like BIM integration is happening everywhere. There are new technologies which will be coming. AI will be supporting architects and design, and like in the whole construction process. Drones will be there for remote monitoring. So a lot of new things are gonna happen.
Correct.
But the industry in itself is a huge, like you're living in a building, right? So basically it works.
Yeah.
The problem is how to get into it and how to make it happen. Like I'm not expert in how in AEC industry works technically. My problem statement is how to get into it.
Correct.
Right? So maybe you're a better architect than me. I'm not saying that. My problem statement is how would you get into that particular pool of consumers? That's the problem I am solving. So this answer, someone else will give you a better answer.
Correct. Right. As a entrepreneur and as a startup founder, you have to take a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
So how do you trust your decisions and how do you trust your instincts? Because taking decision is the key to move one step further.
Yes.
And so many people lack in the decision only. They don't take decision and they don't take that first step.
Yeah, that is true.
So how do you trust your decisions?
So my decisions now, it's not going to be like first decision. So now there's a framework basically, and it has been there since a while. It's basically you do research, like in architecture design. This all came from architecture studies. Okay, so you get a project brief. Now you have a problem statement. You do case studies to get the research, analysis, all those things. Now you have a framework how you can go about the design, right? You study basically the whole thing, and then you make a decision how the design should go forward. I think that framework applies everywhere. You do the research. The way of researching might change. Like for a general decision, if it's something about core business, so you go and talk to a lot of people like that. So you have to go to talk to random mentors who have made it already, right? Advisors who can tell you these things, how this work, or what you're thinking is right. So basically the thing is that you have to actively listen, take a validated feedback from a validated person, and that's how you get to know whether whatever decision you are taking is right or not.
Correct.
And you need to do it fast. So basically you need to be prepared what decision you might take 6 months ahead from now. So that's you need to have that foresight. As an architect, you have that. Like when you design the whole building, but it's basically you're going to do it step by step, right? So you need to visualize the whole thing before. So you have that foresight how things might work. So you plan that project, how that is going to execute. That's the same thing. So as an architect, I believe you have the skills to do those things.
And architecture teaches us that decision taking skills because of our architectural design and whole curriculum.
See, man, like basically you can't trust whether you don't know whether the decision is right or wrong. But at least you can back it up with rationality that there's proper research.
Correct.
And validated feedback from the people. So that's what I think. Like you can only validate things. You don't know. You can't predict the future whether you took a right decision or a wrong decision.
Decision is important.
Yeah, decision is important.
Either you will succeed or you will learn.
Yes.
You will not lose anything.
Yes, that's true.
Architecture field is very new in comparison to other fields. Architecture field legally as a profession started in 1972. So architecture
it's still 50 years. It's still a big time.
Yeah. So architecture field is very new to entrepreneurial avenues. So what challenges did you face starting this startup? Because as this field is really new to entrepreneurial avenues, so what challenges you faced building the build design?
So as I said, the first challenge I have to face, whether it's investor or a customer, what is an architect's role in this particular thing? Because they get confused between architect's role and the contractor's role. So that's the first struggle you have to face. So that's basically what happens in other in other sectors. When there are startups, people actually know a lot of things about the other sector.
Correct.
So they don't have to struggle with 3 steps of explaining what is the sector, right? So here you have to explain basically what is an architect role, how it differentiates from actually a contractor role.
Correct.
Yeah, all those things, and it's there. People who have not done it, like sometimes what happens, consumers, they construct one home and they think they know everything about architecture and how it works. So it's not just that. Like you have to basically your building is suing the urban fabric according to the surrounding and that's just not the limit of architecture. Just designing one home, that's part of it.
Correct.
We do space designing basically, right? So that's the first problem you have to explain to people. That's the first struggle you have to face if you're running a startup in this particular sector. Second, there are n number of struggles, man, as a startup. Like if I start talking about that would take 1 hour for like just to talk. But OOV mein, it's just there are
any major experience you faced during your journey?
Yeah, every time the thing is that you set up a timeline, you think of a thesis, and you try to make it happen. But then some uncertain problems come into the picture, right? You have never predicted those problems because you don't have that kind of an experience. I'm still the first time founder. You're still the first time founder. Correct. So there are gonna be certain idiosyncrasies happening. All those kind of things happens, and like you just like at a certain point, I used to be very much stressful about those things. Now it's just it's gonna be there. Yeah. I am gonna be prepared. Let's see what happens. So now it's like much more let's make it work. Before it used to be very much stressful. How am I gonna do it? But now that facing so many uncertain challenges, I think you get that mindset. Even you, I'm guessing you have done like tours and workshops and whatnot, right? So how many challenges did you face? You should talk about that, man. We should learn from each other.
Actually, it's really difficult, to be honest, but difficulty will be there.
Yeah, like every workshop is going to be different.
It's every time, every event, I am anxious, whole team is anxious, everyone is so prepared for the event.
Yeah,
it will be there.
Yeah,
to face it is the only thing.
Yeah, Malab, you have to face it.
Yeah.
That's all. And you can start preparing from early, but you still don't know what type of challenges will come. So you need to prepare all around, I guess. And that's part of the startup journey.
So what will you suggest to those who are starting really fresh? मतलब बहुत new है.
As an architect, join BuiltDesign. You can be a part of BuiltDesign community. You'll try to find work from that platform. Otherwise, try and get into a network, try to tap into network. Don't go into BNI and all that. A lot of people are already there. When you're starting fresh, I mean, you need to have first a background, first a portfolio. Try go and working with some architects who have made it.
Correct.
And who are ready to give you other advices than the core architecture part. So you need to understand who to go as a boss.
Correct.
Because that's very important when you're setting up your practice, because you won't know a lot of other things. And no one would tell you that. So if there's a boss who would tell you how it works,
correct,
that is somewhere you should go and learn those skills. Other than that, if you want to go into modern approach of getting clients, then join BuiltDesign, I would say.
Definitely. Many of them will definitely join BuiltDesign. My next question is, you must have met many designpreneurs, many architects, successful people. So what do you think, what traits they have that made them successful in AEC industry?
See, I can only talk about my perspective towards those things. One thing, so what traits basically, see, whatever designpreneurs, and so there's 2 different segments, right? As I said, designpreneur with a startup which is not running an architectural practice is a different category.
Correct.
Architects who are running architectural firm is a different category. So both, I can't generalize both the things, right? So this is more like a startup founder, and I don't think so I might be the right person to answer this as of this stage right now. But in terms of architects who I've worked with, who are running a successful practice, they have a good personality, man. See, you need to be charming to get the clients. Okay? Even in your network effect, you need to be charming to do that. And that's where the personality comes. So people I have worked with, I was impressed by their personality.
Correct.
They were charming, like as far like they know how to talk, they know how to present themselves, they know how to say exactly what needs to be heard by the client. So they understand the client mindset, they understand what client requires. What most people don't focus on the early stage when they start out is they should be focusing on the design side. So that is a skill which you have already worked on for 5 years. You will be exploring that for the rest of your life. It's never going to end. You should start exploring on the presentation part, the communication part. That's equally important when you're in the business, especially in the architecture practice. So the people who I have worked with, amazing personality they used to have. That's how they used to get clients. Basically, they used to charm the clients.
Yeah.
And the client used to get impressed with the personality, because most of the purchase decisions which you make in your life are emotional decisions, right? People save money to buy some want expensive product. Why do we do that? Because it's an emotion. So if anyone sees my portfolio, he might get impressed with the design style, but that's again, some other architect will come on the table, he'll say, I'll create this type of style, that's not a problem, I can also do that. This is no value proposition that you have a better design style. So don't play it on that, but play it on your personality, like how you manage a client. So I always tell this to my employees, that project handling is a different aspect, client handling is a different aspect. Right? Project handling, a lot of people know because you have learned that.
Correct.
Client handling is something which requires business skills and the personality and the charming factor into it, because you're running an architectural practice. So that's what. So basically, every time you present a design, you have to get it approved. Correct. So that requires. So you remember in our jury times, I used to always see this pattern that people who are good at expressing and storytelling used to make it good in the jury.
Yeah.
Right. That's how it works. Even in your college, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right, so that's how it works. That's how it works in real life as well. You need to be that presentable. You need to be that storyteller. You built up that story, then you bring up a climax and all those things. You need to do that with your designs as well. So whenever I ask architects to explain the designs in the practice which I'm doing, so my employees explain me like this. We are entering this foyer. Then there's a mirror on the left side, or this particular. You don't say that. Who cares about that thing? Like, wo to dikh raha hai plan mein. You tell about how the experience would feel. That's what the customer cares. And that's why you should start meeting people and be with that personality.
Right.
Yeah, how does that experience matters? Like, how does the house architecture or the residential architecture would impact your health? How would it impact your mental health or physical health or spiritually or your relationships? All these things. Talk about these things with your client. Then he will understand, okay, that is also one more perspective.
Correct.
Towards the thing. When you tell this, there's an entrance, there's a living room, he can see that on the plan. Everyone can read the plan. There's nomenclature everywhere spread on the plan, right? Tell more about it. Tell the design theory behind it. Tell the space, how would it feel to the consumer. That's where you should give the design theory. And that's how you should explain your portfolio as well, I guess.
Correct.
That's my 2 cents on it, I guess.
I think everything is ending on one thing only, communication. Design is a huge part.
Yeah. It's a technical skill, you can say, in this field. Communication is the marketing skill in this particular industry. Yeah. So
communication is one thing, and your tone while communicating is everything. How you communicate your design, how you express your design, and how you sell your design.
Yes.
I think we had a really good conversation about profession as a whole.
Yeah.
My final question would be, what suggestions will you give to young aspirants, not only in entrepreneurship only, but studying architecture, those who want to come into architecture and those who are really fresh in architectural profession, wondering what to do?
See, wondering what to do. So I now, in retrospect, understand this one thing. Don't plan your career, plan a life, and see if your career fits into that. Then you choose a career accordingly. Like, see, most people nowadays, it's like, I want to be a digital nomad. I want to travel around. So choose accordingly. You have all the skills you need as in from the architecture education. So try to gain more skills in your learning period.
Correct.
Don't just do the academic part. Do excel. Like, we have NASA and a lot of competitions and a lot of communal kind of activities. Do those things. Explore yourself so that you can introspect yourself later on, right? So that's what you should do, so that you can build multiple set of skills and then use the few which you really need in your whatever career you're going to make. Because I'm that particular theory, right, that people need to decide the career very early. That's bullshit, I think. Like, you can't. You don't have enough experience. You don't have enough exploration. You don't know a lot of things in this world, how it works. How can you decide a career at that moment? So try exploring that. That would be my suggestion. Do everything in the college. not just academically. Go out with your seniors, meet. If you're going on a party or a study, to do that, so that you can hear to a lot of conversation. You will understand a lot of number of things. Because what we do is we are confined by the perspective we have. Whatever things we explore, that's the perspective we are going to gain in life. So the more exploration happens, the more perspective opens up. So you don't need to really explore by yourself. You can just listen to other people experience and actively listen and understand what they have felt, or what they have experienced. So that's one thing that you have to do by any chance, because you don't know whether you, like, I know a lot of architects are not architect anymore. They have left the field. They are doing UI UX. They are doing different kind of things. That's okay. You have the skills. You can do it, but you need to know whether you want to do it or not. And that's where it should not be based on the money that you'll be earning, because in the initial period, no one earns that much, especially in the architecture field. So you need to plan out for a long haul. So you need to be doing that thing which you can do for a long haul, right? So start exploring. That would be my one advice.
Very beautifully put. And this advice will be greatly benefited by so many viewers. I want to add to that thing. As you said, no, don't look for the career, plan the life.
Yeah,
I will add to that. Look for the opportunities, not for the career. Your opportunities will become your career and may become your career.
Exactly.
So in our initial phases,
that's what we both are doing basically, right?
We are looking for the opportunities.
Yes,
we are hungry for the opportunities.
Yes.
So opportunities has the biggest potential to become your career.
Yes.
And
completely agreeing to that.
Yeah. So on that note, I think we can stop this conversation.
Yeah, actually, no, we can't stop this conversation. I want to talk to you about one thing. When you said, opportunity. So as you recently passed out, right?
Correct.
Like 2022.
Yeah.
So you started this from the student grade,
right.
Like in your second year, you told me. So what was your mindset when you were like, see man, when I was in second year, definitely I was not doing anything like this. There was no mindset which I wanted to do something like this in the architecture field. But that's quite a good, insight that you did it. You started it out at second year. Now you're building it, and most of the team of yours is just students, third year, fourth year, fifth year, and freshly graduates. So I want to see what was the mindset, because completely there's a story behind that, right?
My mindset goes beyond the architecture.
Okay.
It starts from where I was born, and that mindset of not as an entrepreneur, but as a socialist, to go into public and to listen about various problems, to work on various problems, came to me from my father and mother. Because
like a socialist activist kind of thing.
They are into social work so much. So that perspective came from them. And when I came to architecture, I was not sure I want to do architecture. But मेरे लिए सिर्फ एक चीज बहुत prominent थी, मुझे किसी के बाप के हाथ के नीचे काम नहीं करना. I want to do something by myself.
Yes.
That was the only one thing I had in my mind. And with that I came to architecture, because architecture में थोड़ा सा creative भी था, and practical तो है ही सब कुछ. So coming to architecture, I did not know about anything, but I definitely know about the gaps, how to see gaps, how to see problems, and how to listen to the problems.
Yes.
And the time I came to college, first I wrote in my diary in 2017, that was my admission year. 2 days in the college, and I wrote about something. I need to gather everyone in the architecture community. And
like a unified thing.
Yeah, and do something with them. Not exactly what to do, but we need to gather everyone.
Yeah, that's like you found a problem statement. Now you'll be finding the solution by getting a validated feedback. Yeah,
but
makes sense.
That was my initial approach towards architecture.
Okay.
Then diary ko band kar diya in the cupboard.
Okay.
Directly after 2 years, I saw a problem. Because first year में कुछ knowledge नहीं होता है, कुछ भी नहीं होता है.
Yeah.
First year में I don't know anything. So उसका कुछ मतलब नहीं रहा. So in the third year directly, we saw the gap. Students and juniors don't know about softwares anything.
Yeah.
So we thought, why don't we teach them softwares?
Yeah.
Not for the money.
For my seniors.
Not for the money.
Batchmates,
not
right.
for the money.
Yes.
But that social
like
perspective.
You need that knowledge in this field, right?
So we started with the head as a 360 on bit, and we started teaching softwares to our juniors. And exactly after first batch, pandemic hit.
Oh yeah, that's the story of
We
different
went to
times.
online.
Yes.
And from the online part,
Mhm.
we got to see so many opportunities because people were doing nothing.
Yeah.
So we saw so many opportunities in those gaps, and we started filling those gaps with
And automatic.
events, and slowly and gradually 361 built over that.
So
basic
that's
foundation.
that's the story of every startup, how it's gonna be.
Mm.
Like you also saw the problem, you also felt that you don't want to work under someone, you want to do off your own thing,
Correct.
and that's how you get into it. So, and if you wouldn't have explored multiple things, you wouldn't have created multiple things around it. So all three things apply to everyone, I guess,
Definitely.
who has done it, something like this. So all right, I guess this was a good conversation.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining the BitTalk.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, it was great, man. So
And
great.
we can do something collaboratively towards this
We
vast
should,
architectural
right?
field.
Yeah, we should definitely.
Yeah. So
Yes,
thank you so much.
Same here, man.
Yep.